What's up, everybody? Soren Baker here, hosting for the Nocturnal Heltah Skeltah anniversary. We are about to get this going here in a minute, so thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. We see y'all up there. Rob Beats, what's happening? Big D, what's happening? Joining in, so we're excited about that. Yes, Buffalo Bill, what's happening? Getting lots of people coming in right now, so thanks for we are getting it going, y'all. We're gonna wait till we get some of our guests. Dru-ha is in the building. Thank you for coming through, Dru-ha. Thank you for having me.
Peace. What up? Thank you,
Everything.
man. Appreciate you doing this on short notice.
Hey, man. As you know, I've been loving Duck Down since before y'all were Duck Down. So I'm very much appreciative of the opportunity, man.
Yeah, nah. This is definitely overdue, and something that we wanted to put together. Um, I spoke to Rock last week, and I told him I was like,
This shirt
let's
can't
see, here he comes.
this
There
shirt
it
Yeah,
can't
is,
see
Rock,
my
right
shirt.
there.
This
Rock.
shirt can't see my shirt.
Yeah,
That's a nice shirt there, Rock.
I know. Thank you.
Rock. You never thought Helter Skelter was gonna be two white guys and you.
We on our comeback tour right now.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I was just telling him that last week you and I spoke, and I said to you that I didn't feel like we celebrated this properly, or like I know I didn't. Like, just
hmm
personally, I felt like the day I saw the post go up, and I felt like, damn, I didn't really pay the proper respect or homage to the album. And you said the same thing. You were like, damn,
Yeah,
you felt the same way, and then that's when I was like, we got to do something. We got to come on here and at least, because
yeah.
this
Like I
album
didn't
this
even.
album was too special.
Yeah, I didn't even post a anniversary post. Like I usually will post like the album covers with the like and say happy birthday to them and talk to them like they my kids and my nephews and shit. Like I didn't do. Only thing I did was I shared the posts to my stories of all of the other, all of the ones all of the other people who show love. I would share that, but I didn't have the strength to actually make a post that day for whatever reason.
Hmm.
Or maybe the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like it just was, I'm out here and I'm not out when I'm out here, I'm literally out here with nobody who was here from that time. Like I'm here with my daughter and her mother. My daughter wasn't born. I didn't know her mother back then. So it's just you know, eh, yeah, nah.
Have you shared a song yet with, like, has your daughter heard the album or the albums?
I mean, my daughter is her. She hears it all. Like, cause her mother plays it for her. I play the old stuff still. I play the old stuff and the new stuff. Like, I'm not, I always reflect on the old stuff. It helps me stay sharp because every once in a while I'll be someplace sitting on my rap high horse talking about, listen, I rap better than ever. I'm the best I ever been. And then I go and listen to the second verse on Wiggy and be like, maybe not. You know, maybe not.
Well, there's a lot of amazing performances on the album by both you, Ruck, aka Sean Price, RIP, but
hmm
everybody else that appears on the project. So I'm excited that we're all here to talk about it. Getting a lot of people on, joining us now. So looking forward
Yeah.
to going through some of the tracks. It's hard to pick, but I picked some of the moments from all the songs that I thought were interesting discussion points. And
hmm
we're glad everybody came through for this because it's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
let's let's let's
Yeah. Let's
just
get to it.
yeah, let's get to it.
Let's get
All
to
right,
it.
well, first let's start as we should with the intro because here we come. It's funny on so many levels. For those that didn't see after this, watch Rock and I did some on Unique Access, my channel, where we went through some of the songs. And I
hmm
asked him the funny thing about the intro, but I wanted to get this little part here. So let's take it right here. The intro, here we come from Nocturnal, Heltah Skeltah. We'll play a little bit and then we'll talk about it.
Soldiers going psycho, let the madness begin. Enter the square if you dare bring a friend, we can snipe ya. We see in the dark like it now, so we prowl. Understand the plan is Operation Lockdown. Strong price and slice that punk shit you reppin' G.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I was having
Yes.
fun with that. That's
So,
I felt like I said, I felt like that's one of the songs I'm most proud of because of the trickery that I pulled off in that song. You know, making it 50% intro or 50% song and 50% table of contents. You know what I mean? Like
yes.
it was the last song I did for the album. You know what I mean? It was like, and I couldn't have done it. It had to be last because I had to have all of the song titles in order to create that song first. You know what I mean? So the way I whipped it up and did it, like I always felt like I always felt like that was one of the more underrated moments in hip hop.
Was
Uh,
was that intro?
Yeah, that intro.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's funny to me is that like one, we always put the intros together last, right? Like
Hmm.
we seem to do that. I remember on The Shining we did or were able to talk them into putting that intro onto the album, like when it was finished. And this album, I think I know like Buck, had influence in terms of like just the ad libs and putting that together. The funny thing that stands out to the intro to me is that the first voice you hear on that album is not you or Rook, but it's String, right? That like String is what you hear first on that album, and then he's menacing on that Here We Come. Like his ad lib just meant so much.
The funny thing is, like, you mentioning that, somebody else mentioned that to me recently, like, you know what I mean? But what's crazy is in the moment when we were doing the intro, I can remember Steele saying to me or asking me, salute to Steele, my brother from Smith and Wesson. He approached me and he asked me, he's like, yo, you sure you want to have somebody, you want to have somebody else be the first voice you hear on the Heltah
Mm.
Skeltah album? And I was like, hell motherfucking yeah. Like, because like the way I looked at it was like, this is a show. We gotta have to have like this. The show is about to begin, and we needed somebody that you don't. And I don't bring myself on stage. Somebody introduces me. You understand what I'm saying? So
Right.
that was how I looked at it. You know what I mean? And it wouldn't. Who better to do it than the dude who was almost a member of Heltah Skeltah? You understand what I'm saying? Like, don't
Right.
nobody know better than him. So let her rip.
And
and
Soren, I would say to this too because this is just something I did in an interview earlier last week. Someone asked me the question. I just think like for the fans and people that are listening or listen to that album to know. And I said this to Rock also is like we paid attention to a lot of detail back then in the studio, right? Like that intro,
Yeah.
we were like, all right, let's go over the ad libs over and over, the structure of it. It's like I know I don't know about you, Rock, but I know I'm involved with a lot of different artists today. It's not the same in terms of
Yeah.
like like how we structure a song. Now it's boom boom, it's done. It's like all right, next
Because
song.
when I work with certain people today, like these days, like and I be all detail oriented. Like they like that shit is foreign to them. They be like, "Yo, listen, we don't got to do all of that. We just go and I'm like, nah, b like that. You might be able to bust a quick flip off of this right here, but just from my experience, this is the way you become legendary. You pay attention to the small details. I've had people over the years, like within the past 3-4 years, tell me like how they used to be able to listen to hip hop where it's like you listen to the song, meaning the lyrics, and then you listen again for the ad libs and all of the nuances under the lyrics. It's like
Hmm.
it's painting. All of that paint is helping you paint the picture and all of that. And like all of that means something to me because the rhymes I write, I see them first. You know what I mean? Or I
well,
see them as I'm writing them, and that's what I want the listener to do too.
Rock, that's speaking about seeing in the dark like an owl. Like that's the nocturnalness, but then on the having the owl on the album art. There's just layers
Hmm.
to it, man. There's a lot
Yeah,
to it.
absolutely.
And that's why you got to listen. So speaking of listening, let's move it on to Let the Brains Blow. Let's see what I picked on this
Would that be a
edition.
pause?
Oh,
Would that be a pause today, Rock?
hell yeah, that'd be a pause today.
Different context for sure.
Hell yeah, pause.com.
Next up, right by your side with my eyes on the box. I see the big red, he said he wanna drop. Plus he claimed he can burn me up in rap shit. Take it to his real, ask the punk what he feel. Two to his G, cause he weak, so for sure. Nigga play the self frontin' like he hard to the core.
Man, so that is actually, interestingly, that's the second biggest streaming song on Spotify from this album. Which
What?
so Rock, why do you think that is? I love this song, but I was a little surprised by that.
I don't know, man. I don't have all the answers, Slay. I don't have all the answers. I don't know.
But
I mean, I think it's a dope song. It was one of the first times. It was literally one of the first times people got to hear me in rap. You know what I mean? Like that song came out, like, you know, it was kind of, and Drew probably knows better than I do as far as like how the songs were rolled out. Like that song the world heard that song before they heard my album. You know
Right.
what I mean?
That was a single.
So yeah, so it's like one thing what I've noticed over the years, why a lot of people like a lot of artists' first album, whereas I think a lot of those artists' second album were my favorite. One thing I've learned is you can only catch a nigga by surprise one time. You
Right.
only got one opportunity to make a first impression. So, you know, when that first album, it has that advantage of knocking people upside the head. It's like, oh my God, this is the first. It's like your first hit on a blunt, you know what I'm saying? The first time you smoke weed or whatever, like you chasing that high forever after that, you know what I'm saying? Don't do drugs, kid, right? But yeah, like that kind of effect, though, you know what I mean? So maybe it's that, like, you know, people fiend for that right there. People always go back to the first, or they appreciate the first a certain type of way, you know what I mean?
that's true.
I'm just speculating here, though, of course. Like, I don't know.
So on the executive side, Drew, what made you guys want to go with that early on as a single?
Just the raps, just how good they were, the structure of the record. Like I don't know, we probably also had that finished before we had the rest of the album finished. So it's just a matter of, you know, also putting out music. It's a different. I think that a lot of people that are tuned in probably know that time period, but for those that don't, it was a totally different time period. It was no test the record out through the internet or put it up and stream a piece or send it to
Yeah,
somebody as an MP3. Like you had to make a commitment to a release. You had to say, all right, I'm either giving out cassettes or I'm pressing up vinyl. And either option was expensive and either option, you know, took a lot of work. So you wanted to make sure that it was something that was right. We probably were buying some time to set up for the album at that point. I don't remember clear enough either what it was, but we probably could do no wrong picking, you know, songs like that. It just was, you know, Heltah Skeltah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, so let's move on to Understand.
yo, you know what's funny? I was thinking about that song too. It's like I remember before, like you're right, it was one of the first songs we actually had. You know, what I mean, we had that song before we had the album. Because I remember when we used to go on shows with Black Moon, we would perform that song not even to that beat. We would perform it to a Sons of Men beat. I just now listened to the beat, like the Sons of Men, Soldiers in the Dark beat. Like we would perform it to that instrumental, those lyrics, and it used to go off lovely or
Wasn't
whatever. And
wasn't there another didn't like an R&B sing? Didn't someone else use the beat?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
right. Like I remember that
yeah.
now too. That happened to us to us quite a few times in that era where we did something and then shortly after there was another version of it.
Yeah, a R&B version too,
Yeah,
most of the time.
an R&B version of "Let the Brains Blow."
Well,
Word.
that's the
I
that
can I can hear the song in my head right now. I just can't think
Yeah,
of the
I can't.
name of it.
It'll never come to me. I just remember that being something that was in the air.
Hmm.
yeah, because people forget that as rap in this mid 90s era was growing, that more than ever, I think, because there was so much success with the crossover element of rap, that the R&B people were trying to use the just jacking the beats so hard because they knew it already had a little bit of a following, but it wasn't mainstream per se yet. So that, I think that was what was going on with a lot of y'all's records.
You know, I know someone in the comments got to have it. I'm just starting to look at all these comments, but I bet you someone in here, someone's gonna call out what record it was. But anyway, let's keep it moving.
All right, well,
Yeah.
let's get to Understand, one of my favorites on Nocturne.
Who is this getting swift with this pugilist equipped with the lyrical gift that flips scripts? People duck sick. The one that touch with that rough kick. Break boys' bones like Roy Jones, decoys roam. But they can't mess with my people. He who step to the ruckus recognize that I be deep.
Man, so Rock, man, hearing your partner flip the words like that, man, what is that was incredible.
I mean, for me, like that was small for him.
Mm-hmm.
Like I always knew his ability. You know what I mean? Like, because when I discovered him, he was such an off the wall. Like, not when I discovered him, but like when I first saw him, when I first became aware of his rap prowess, he was like he had such a off the wall flow. Like even his movements was different. Like, but he was a different dude. He was a different type of dude. It ain't no energy like him, right? And we used to call him the bits and pieces man because he used to take. It was like he didn't really have whole entire raps. He would just mix and match bits and pieces of raps together for whatever the situation, whatever the cipher was. You would think you heard, he'd start a verse and you think you know this verse, you think you know what he about to say. He get the 4 bars in and he switch it something different. But it was just it was more like the Sean Price that the world knows than the Ruck that the world knows.
Right.
Like when we started working together on Nocturnal, I feel like honestly Nocturnal is a more tamed version of Ruck. You know what I mean? It was like he always used to say, like he said it in interviews, like he was nervous during Nocturnal. Like, you know, it was like Nocturnal was his actual first rhyme book. He didn't have a book of rhymes before Nocturnal, and it was like knowing that I had been rapping since I was 11, and I was running with Steel and Tech first, and I brought him. I mean, even though he ran with Steel and Tech first in the streets, but I was running with Tech and Steel first in the on some rap shit, and I brought him into that. And this was serious. This was playtime is over. You know what I'm saying? Black Moon is out. Smith and Wesson done put their shit out. It's our turn now. So it was just like he didn't want to fuck what he perceived to be my shit up. You understand what I'm saying? So he wasn't just going. You know, he had certain apprehensions and all of that. By the time we got to Magnum Force, he started to become more himself. And then after Magnum Force, when left alone to his own devices, Sean Price, you understand what I'm saying? He emerged as that off the wall dude that I always saw in the beginning. You know what I mean?
Right. Okay. That makes sense. Now,
I remember on Understand, right? That was my first probably lesson into math. Knowledge, wisdom, understanding. I shouldn't even be saying these things, but Sean would always test me on my, right? Like, would he not? Like he always like in the middle of like a heated conversation or whatever, like he would just change the subject and ask me what's today's math, and I really wouldn't know. But then he would, but he'd be like, "Oh, geez, what's today's math?" And you know, and then he would explain it to me. Like he would offer me the explanation. At least it was very nice of him, and at least I tried to understand. And then we found that big 3, right? Like that, we didn't make that. It wasn't a prop, right?
Right.
To where we shot the video. I believe we found that 3 somewhere. It was like some piece of art in Brooklyn somewhere. And it was like a calling to us to film the video in front of the 3.
But we never actually did a video for
Oh, and the
Understand.
photo shoot, the photo shoot.
Photo shoot, yeah.
Yeah, the photo shoot, which would have been a video today. Would have been the photo shoot and the Instagram post and all that. But we
Word.
did, right? I'm not bugging, right? We did take pictures in front of a big
Yeah,
ass
we
three.
did. We
All
was
right.
behind in front of this big ass camouflage 3.
Yeah. Oh, who produced Understand? That was Baby Paul?
Um, Baby Paul.
Yeah. Big up Baby
Yeah.
Paul, big up Beat Miners,
Nah, but
big up.
Ruck did smoke that shit. Like he smoked that song. I was just like, and for me it was just like, all right, but like I said, it was so easy for him. Like, you know what I mean? Like I still felt like I felt like that was a tame version of the dude I know. You understand what I'm saying? Like all right, what's the song after that? It's the
Who that?
is yeah, that's a skip, but the song after that is Sean Price, right?
Yep.
Right,
Yep.
like that was him. That was a little bit of him just being his buck wild ass self. You understand? You know what? It's something about the name Sean Price for him. It allows him to be buck ass wild. You know what I mean? I guess Ruckus was more of a street wild. You know what I
It's
mean?
it it's amazing to me, like looking back on it, because it spanned a long career, right? Sean, like both of you have spanned a long career. We're looking back 25 years, but his vision already to be in the Sean Price mind, he knew, you know what I mean? He was seeing the future already. We had such a good thing going on at that time, not just with Heltah Skeltah, Fab Five, and Boot
Hmm.
Camp Click, but and it wasn't like, I mean, you know better than me, but it wasn't like he wasn't like calling for it behind the scenes. He wasn't saying to me, like he wasn't pitching that behind the scenes, but he already knew, like he had in his mind that he was Sean Price. Obviously he was by government, but like
Hmm.
that's where he was almost most comfortable.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that
it was good.
song was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
Absolutely.
sorry for jumping ahead. You know what I'm saying? That's the way. I got ADHD. That's just the way. That's the shit my brain be doing.
Yo, and we're gonna play a piece of it, and I don't know if we'll find, but damn, when I went back and I listened to the out the day of the celebration of the 25th, what I did do, I don't even listen to music that much anymore. I'm such a bad executive these days. I'm so caught up in the work and stuff that sometimes like I miss the music of just listening to an album through. But I did listen to the album through that morning, and when Illinois' part came on, I forgot how special Illinois was, and like
Yeah,
you know, like
yeah,
in that one moment, if you're an artist and you have one chance to make a moment on it, you're getting a 18, I mean, you're getting 16 or 8 bars or whatever it is, you got to splash. And damn, when you listen to Illinois' verse on Sean
yeah.
Price, it's like it gave me the chills. How
Song
he
is amazing.
fucked with the wordplay and his flows and the word, like it was crazy.
Yeah,
It made me a little upset that we didn't do a little more with Illinois.
right. Yo,
Well,
anybody in this live right now, go follow Illinois. He's
Yeah.
the
let's
he's
get
a
into a little Sean Price now, the song, for those that are listening. Let's play a
yeah.
little bit right now.
Some say Sean Price is nicest on my devices. Pack power, which make me more mightier than ISIS. Try this. That's when the rock shakes the Richter. Inflicts the pain. My aim is to rip ya. Picture you trying to break through my path. My 8 blast. Oh, you fucking snakes in the grass. What the hell when angel dust? Plus I bust these devil's lungs with the beat that come from tip of the tongues. Now you sprung.
Now you sprung.
Yeah. Boss like John Starks in the 4-4 order, need my beats deep like the Torah. Unforgettable like Nat King that swings Louisville chill because my motherfucking slaps king. That was the chunkiest slap ever on a hip hop record right there. Like we was in the studio. It was either that or it was on Wiggy. One of them like Heltah Skeltah had the chunk. Those was like me and Ruck in the booth clapping our hands like on 6 different tracks. That shit was like the chunk. It sounded like somebody got Earth, Wind, Fire, Ice Cubes, and all kind of other shit smack. Those are some chunks. Those are the chunkiest smacks in hip hop.
Oh, we got a question. Oz D. Great, thanks for hitting us with a question. Do you hear influence of your music on today's music?
I don't know. I mean, every once in a while, rappers tell me that we influence them. You know what I mean? Sometimes I can hear it. Sometimes I don't. Iron Solid. He
Yeah, big
he
up
shot him.
Iron.
He hit me up a couple of days ago. You know what I mean? Commented, let me know that he was part of his, formation in his rap DNA and all that. I appreciated that. What I've learned through what I learned through, my travels and meeting a lot of the younger guys is like a lot more people are influenced by it than are willing to admit it. I don't know. Maybe it's just not the cool thing to do right now. It's cool. Still out
I
here.
think on this is just a side thing on Sean Price because the next line was Sean Sparks like John Starks in the fourth quarter, right? Time frame of the Knicks. And I remember I ran into John Wallace at a party somewhere and I asked him if John Starks had ever heard that line. Like he was like, yo, I love Heltah Skeltah. And I was like, yo, did John Starks ever? He's like, nah, John. He's like, he probably heard it, but he didn't really fuck with hip hop like that. And at that point, I was like, damn, Sean wasted that bar. But then again, he didn't. But then again, he didn't because John Starks in the fourth quarter was ugly what he could do. It's just funny though, like the name dropping and like how it has reach.
Mm-hmm. In today's game, with all of the the explosion of social media and all of these platforms and all of, like you see it a lot. Like a lot of I've seen a lot of athletes, take notice to being name dropped in hip hop and shit. It's a big deal to them now, because back then hip hop, that was 25 years ago. Hip hop. Now everybody listen to hip hop. Like back then in the NBA, Jordan didn't like hip hop, right? I think he said it on numerous occasions. Like it's few of those dudes, but now who don't? Like the world is different now. You know what I mean?
Very. Now let's get to some.
Our parents listen to hip hop now.
Well, we are the parents.
Yeah, really. The clans, puppy, crews, and cliques are much bigger. So let's get into that one real quick.
What's that?
Clans, posses, crews, and cliques.
Let's get into the intro for a second. I mean, not the intro. The who that? The skit.
You want to go back? All right, let's go back to get that real quick and then go to that.
That's okay. One of the. Yeah.
Hold on, I got the part that I. Hold on.
Check it out, yo. Who's that nigga over there? Rockness. Rappers be acting like they quit. They need to stop this. Somebody attack from the rear. Make your locks twist like titties when bros take off they Brazilian. Drop quick. Swimming up in your subconscious is me. Bumpy Jack, come to regulate. So for me, MP, make 90 puke. Throw up your jukes if you.
Man. So when you have an intro, why wait so long to get on it, Rock?
What happened?
I said, I loved it so much, but I kept waiting at times like the original where Here We Come. It took a minute to get in. It took a minute to actually get into it. And then it's short. So creatively, how did you guys explore it that way?
Well, that was, this, you speaking of the intro or the skit? Well, like I said, it was the intro. It's meant to be an intro, so
that should be short.
It should be short. It was, and like I said, I wanted to have Starang. I wanted to have that energy. Like Starang he's a natural showman. You know what I mean? Like his personality is perfect for the job. You know what I mean? Perfect shit popper, perfect charisma. You know what I mean? Perfect level, perfect mix of nice and mean. You know what I mean? So he had to be the what do you call it, the MC, the master of ceremonies for that show right there. Bring the guard out, and that's a burn. What it do?
We have a special honor guest.
There's a B.
What up, y'all? What's good?
So yeah, I was saying like that was simple, and as far as the skit, like we just wanted to, we wanted it to be, we had these short rhymes, you know what I'm saying? Well, matter of fact, I think P was actually freestyling. Me, I wasn't. like I had that incomplete rhyme sitting there. I'm like, I could use it for this. You know what I mean? And the whole object was to paint that picture of that that life we was living where there's always somebody trying to get on the inside. Pause. You know what I mean? Like we was in our own little world. You always had some extras trying to tag along or jump along or get involved. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, yo, don't open that fucking. That's not the fucking knot. We still use the knot to this day. I mean, you understand what I'm saying? Like to this day, like that wasn't the knot. And the funniest shit was, yeah, nigga, yeah. I guess I get somebody free. I get somebody something free. I don't know what if they could guess who that was that said, yeah, nigga, yeah. But it's one hint you get. It was one of the grade 8.
There you go.
Somebody said first time they saw the moon live, it was at Lincoln University. Jay-Z opened up for it.
Yeah, we're getting a gang of. Here's a question from Vladimir. Any chance for a box set of the 3 Heltah Skeltah albums on vinyl?
Yeah, it's all possible. We'll see what we can do. We got politics involved there, but yeah, stay tuned for all that. Let's get into let's keep it moving along, and then we're gonna get to Burn. But first, I think we got to set it up with clans, posses, crews, and cliques.
Yes. All right, let's play a little of that real quick for everybody. Give everybody a refresher.
Hey, yo, one soda, shots not pop. 2 for the anti-real things I pour and drop. 3 for the irrational rough bitch. I be rocking the core for hip-hop, cause with this shit we rip shop. At the I-5, I am man, you know damn well it was me that did you bitch up in my man's bed. Let your grab pops and like corn out pocket, you can't touch. Fucking with us, it's back with hot.
Man, I always enjoy those things where doing the 1, 2, 3, 4 and the counting and the alliteration and all the different like writing techniques. So for you, Rock, when you get into these type of modes where you're using alliteration or you're doing like a chart with 1, 2, 3, 4, like does it is that more comes to just from writing, or is it also with the beat, or how does it change for you?
I mean, it's just like I said, the Heltah Skeltah formula was really simple. Like we always said, though, it was only one rule: don't be the corny one on the song. And
Right.
if you know that the other dude does lyrical backflips and headbutts through walls, then you got to do what you got to do. Whatever you think is dope, you're gonna need to do that.
Pull it, yeah.
So the way I write, I just pull from everywhere. You know what I mean? Like because as exciting as my rhymes are, I'm not really that exciting. You understand what I'm saying? I'm a real laid back dude. I be chilling and shit. You know what I'm saying? I pull from everywhere, and it all goes in a rhyme.
That song to me was so defined the album in so many ways, like from their confidence to showcasing their skills and ability to the time period, right? Because again, even how you guys started that song, hey ho, like
that was based on a true story. One time, my man Kids and Bill, he brung some dudes to my block, talk about they needed some straightening on some rap shit, and he called me, and I called Ruck downstairs, and we smoked them niggas, and that was that.
And that's the time period, right? Like that's the time period of how fucking real it was, how good you had to be, and how confident you had to be to go and be willing to do that. This is a skill. Like we talk about exercising your skills and showcasing what you do, and at that moment in time, I also felt like how you guys named the song that I don't even remember the conversation, but I was involved in it. I don't remember, but for you guys to have, I felt like you were stepping on you were like anybody, clans, posses, crews, or cliques. Like it didn't matter. Like the two of you felt like that was it, and the confidence, and around Sean long enough, I know he felt like that. Like Sean felt like he was the nicest, right? And like you as well, like there's no shortage of rhymes coming out of you. So, I would never doubt that from you either. But it's like you want your best players wanting the ball when the game's on the line. And in that situation, it was no game. Like you made hip hop no game right there. It's like if it was a sport, then that song wins. That song wins it. It's like, yeah, I dare you to come behind that or show me something better, back to back, bar to bar, that could, be more skillful and deadly than that song. I praise you on it. It's unbelievable.
We definitely felt that way, and I think to this day we feel that way. Wherever he at and to where I'm at, right? You know what I'm saying? He might be in this room right now. He might be in the room with Burn right. We still feel that way. You understand what I'm saying? Like we still feel that way. Like every time I watch a duo, I'm be like, y'all looks cute. I watch any duo doing anything. I'll be like, y'all. I mean, I'll be a little jealous because they still got their partner. But as far as listening to what they doing, I'll be like, yeah, that's cute. Me and my boy would have smoked you niggas.
That's what I be saying all the time when I see stuff.
Yo, Burn, Burn, where were you during this? Like, where were you during this time period? Like, like, give us that background. Not where were you were, but right? Yeah, this is 95, 96.
But 95, I was pregnant. With our firstborn. Going nuts, chasing Sean through the projects.
All right.
The nigga was, Sean was doing this thing though. He used to say his raps to me, like, for Nocturnal. He'd be like, "You like that? Do that sound good?" I'd be like, "Yeah." He'd be like, "We gonna do it." He said, "I'm doing the album, but I don't got enough raps." He said, "I gotta write more." You know what I mean? Like, he was very limited. So Rock ain't lying about that. You know what I mean? He was limited. He like, what am I gonna say? He was nervous about just being good. You know what I mean? And it worked. When it was done, he was happy. He loved it. He celebrated. But I was around. I was in and out. I was around.
That's good insight. That's a different stage of Sean. That's a young Sean.
Yeah, the young Sean was the pure Sean.
Yeah.
I don't know. He got tangled in between, But he loved that album. He loved it. Yeah. To this day, if he was here, he'd still say Nocturnal is his baby.
Yeah, well, that's what I wanted to get to with the next song being Therapy Burn. The idea of him kind of playing like a therapist or a psychologist or something. Before we get into that track, that's one of my favorites on the album because of the interplay and the story and all that. But do you remember what he was talking to you when they were making that song or after it was done when he played it for you? Anything special or different?
It was a real song. To him, it was something that he really felt, needing therapy and, trying to get through the ways of life. You know what I'm saying? So that song was very touching for him. He therapy.
Yeah.
That song is especially touching for me because like no bullshit. Like for whatever reason, I've always been an outsider. Like I ain't never had a match. You understand what I'm saying? Like I always stood out and felt awkward around all of the circles I was in until I met that nigga. You understand what I'm saying? Till I met that my counterpart, and it was like all of the things. Like I used to, like me being a little bit weird had me punching dudes in the face because I didn't have no sense of humor. So if you made fun of my weirdness, I wanted to fight type of shit. You know what I'm saying? Like so, when it was like Ruck was the first dude that I met that saw all of my so-called weaknesses as weapons. You understand what I'm saying? Whatever it was, he was like, nah, this nigga right here, and he knew how to speak to me. You understand what I'm saying? So I really felt, and he was tall. Most of my friends were short. I was always sticking out like a sore thumb some way weirdly. My new best friend was tall. He was like, I was grumpy. He was just off. But he was smart, and so was I. You know what I mean? So it was the perfect mix right there, and it was like, so it was for him to play the therapist and me playing the patient in that song, like that, all the way, all the way till the end. That was kind of the role he played for me. Even as we was living separate lives, him doing his Sean Price shit, I'm doing my Black Market. I got a whole bunch of other dudes I run with. He got a whole bunch of other dudes that run with him. Whenever shit really got crazy for me, I called him.
They was on the phone, yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So that song, that's one of those joints for me. You know what I mean? And that's, the song was my idea. You know what I mean? Like we wrote that shit in my mama crib. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, let's get into a little bit of it real quick.
Think so, Doc, truthfully, I don't know. So what do? I go to my crew and ask for help, but they ain't no help. They go do this same shit they damn tell. I look deep into the mind of the crook. I don't know where I get vision to right hook. Man, I can't do this shit. I can't get out of this cycle. This one got me with. Wanna bring back and doctor stop me before I know.
Yeah, and the doctor interplay too, I thought was brilliant. Rock and I talked about that before, man. But the different characters and having the psychiatrist, man, I thought was brilliant, man.
Yeah.
And then we had some fun making that video.
Yeah.
until we didn't.
Yeah.
You know, Rock, like nobody probably knows that story.
Nah, everybody know that story.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not today's, not
right.
No, not today's people's, but
we were shooting a video for therapy, and the police came and snatched her up. Took my boy right in the middle of the video shoot.
He had the doctor suit on.
Looking like
he was tight. He was like, they got me in this motherfucker with these damn glasses and the goddamn suit on. Yo, call Drew.
And the he had the loafers on. He was mad about his shoes. he had to go down.
He was mad.
Oh, dang. That was funny.
And I was tight because I was like, they were like, all right, basically the video production crew was like, you gotta pay us all over again. Like, you're not gonna cut us a break? Like, we already paid? Nope.
Right.
Sorry.
Sean fucked the pack up.
Yeah.
He was yelling at me like I got him locked up.
Now, you know what
was going on.
I remember, like, when we were standing up there, like, they were shooting him. Like, like
he had the collar run.
Like, I was on timeout, right? They were shooting him. Like, the police, we upstairs in this building, and we hear the people, we hear the rumblings of a panic beginning, right? You know, shit is starting to settle. Yeah, police here. Police? What do you mean police here? Police. They get upstairs, they walk past me. I'm like, yo, what the? They walk like, yo, who that? They're like, police, who are you? He's like, I'm Sean Price. Great.
Thanks, right.
Like, great. So
great, we was looking for you.
I'm Sean Price. They like, great. Come with us. I was like,
and Soren, the other behind the scenes fact on that is the nurse was Angie Martinez. Not, for those inquiring minds, Angie Martinez.
Angie Martinez is playing our nurse.
Yeah, it's crazy because the back in the days, since there wasn't as much visibility with things, I think most people outside the East Coast probably lost who that was, probably, or didn't catch it.
She was just on the come up too. She was like going from just getting her break at radio. It wasn't like it was fully blown up yet, but
I feel like it made a difference though. I feel like niggas knew who Angie Martinez was when we did, or else why did we do it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't like she grew up with us and shit. She was kind of popping already. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she's a little known. Yeah.
Yeah. A little strategy. Fans of you guys.
It definitely worked out well. Memorable appearance. That's for sure.
Right.
All right, well, let's get to some place to be. That was another one that's tremendous flows on that one. So let's get a little of that.
Yeah.
Witnesses roaming the premises, now my businesses and bitches up in your belly, telling you to jet. You know what you say, I get my whoop your chest pains and cigarettes. Bet you about $1. Don't move or swallow. You're not promised tomorrow, but I promise you I'll make you holler. Pop your collar, bone stones the way that I store in my soul. You can roam, just don't get caught.
Yeah, man, that just always remind me of the stylistic flow and difference and changing speeds and patterns all in the same verse, which I always think is amazing.
That's what I love about rapping. You know what I'm saying? I think that's some of what makes me and Ruff the dopest duo or some of the dopest MCs, period. We know how to switch gears. You know what I mean? You got rappers, to my opinion, who rap so good that they corny. Not trash, just corny. You know, they don't know when to switch gears, and you just get lost in a whole bunch of rabbit. You know what I mean? But you don't remember none of those lines. They don't nothing real impactful. I always thought that me and Ruff did a good job of knowing how to, you know, jerk all of the response forward, how to siphon all of the, you know, all of the energy, all of the reactions, responses out of the listener. You know what I mean? What you get, slow down on the stuff, stop on the stuff, throw in the cue. You know what I'm saying? Throw in the good monster.
Well, I also think it keeps the listener engaged because it's not a steady flow. It's all over the place, you know.
I think Place to Be was also another, like, it showed their vision, right? Like we talk about therapy, it's things that they were thinking about, how strategic they were. And that was like when you see that song performed at a show, like the setup that they had for that song and then to actually perform that song, that was the perfect like hip hop call and response of like how to pull off call and response, right? Which is part of everything is showmanship. And that song at a show, Rock, how you would set it up. I mean, for people that didn't see it at a show, that was amazing. You know, like, and to have the song in your repertoire like that, it just showed the vision.
Yeah. Do you remember how we recorded that? Do you remember when we were recording that shit? Like, I almost, like, do you feel it? I don't know if I just made this up in my mind somewhere along the way because we just wanted to say that. Or do you remember us having somebody in the studio playing
Wait,
in the middle?
I'm losing you a little bit.
Yeah, me too.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's better. Yeah.
I said, do you remember us having somebody in the studio playing the role of Monkey in the Middle when we were doing that?
I don't remember that.
I swear, it's a word for that. I think I might have just we performed that so well, I might have created that memory. But I feel like we had one of our little niggas in the studio like, well, come here, man. And he'd be like, he'll come over here, and Ruck will be like, nah, come over here, man. Like,
yeah, but then you did that shit at a show. You divided and conquered. Like the audience, it got so real on both sides. It was you versus Ruck, like straight up. Like at that point, it became you versus Ruck, and that was incredible to see.
Yeah.
I think I'm losing.
Yeah. We all there? Hey, Burn, I had a question for you too.
Yeah.
With the next track we're getting to, Soldiers Gone Psycho. Since you were saying that Sean was saying he needed to write more rhymes, when you hear him going crazy on that one, do you remember him telling you anything specifically about writing or working on Soldiers Gone Psycho?
No, because we didn't like discuss each song, you know, separately or nothing like that. You know, it was just me listening, and you know, he played it for the whole family at one time, and everybody was like, "What?" You know, it was just a bunch of that. What did you just say? You know what I mean? So, you know, we didn't speak on that too much.
I remember I wrote my second verse on that song. I wrote it
He said flicking the bugger.
I wrote it. I wrote it to J.W. the Damage and Dirty Rotten.
You
You
wrote it
hear
to damage or what, Rock?
Dirty Rotten Challenges.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
I said, man, listen, another nigga bluffing. Pump up discussion when you see me get this nothing. Just read this muffin. But when
I
I
was gonna
heard,
say that's a much different beat. I
but you hear it like the lyrics
can
go
hear it
right.
though.
You know what I mean? But also on Soda's Gone Psycho, I had my fingers on that beat too. Like I played the little bass line on that right there. That was.
Well, let's get into it. Let's get into a little bit of that real quick. Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Swelling cerebellums when it's running the focus on you board. My niggas rebelling when the hell ever. Since you can swell weather or not, I step in your knots with the shots or whatever. What you wanna battle me, that'll be the day my whole posse rushes your monkey ass like cattle cheek. True warrior, conqueror, chicken like Joe. Watch it nugget, I love it when niggas come inside.
Man, so when you hear Rock going like that, Rock, what was that like to be there to witness that?
Early rock, like with like that song and Let the Brains Blow, which were two of the like the first 5 songs me and Ruck ever recorded together. You know what I mean? So like that he was that was the guy right there. You understand? I think that was before he got nervous. You understand? Like,
He get nervous, he just go off.
you know what I'm saying?
Oh, we have an answer to one of the questions earlier that it was Brains Blow. The R&B song is called "Love What I Feel" by April from Loud Records.
All right, Rifkin, we got to get on Steve and ask him where he got that from.
Yeah, really.
Rock, Soldiers Gone Psycho was part of that. If you had Duck Down Visuals 1, right? When we used to record everything with the camcorder. So
Yeah.
it wasn't our phones or anything, right? Like same way,
Right.
no YouTube, no way to visualize what we were doing, but we were always documenting everything. And I remember we filmed that in the studio, and Ruck just bugged out, right? Pulled the hat down, did the clap, came back up with one eye up, and again it just showed. Yeah, and those videotapes became classic. Like they got shared and people saw them somehow, some way. Those things like found their way into a lot of people's homes.
You don't
But
have them digitally?
I know I got my version somewhere. I got it somewhere. I think you could find it right now online. But just the fact of then, I'm just thinking about like how little access you had to video, right? Like it was either a full blown video, or you really didn't get to see the artist. So it was that much more special to then even see like behind the scenes footage or things like that. But that's kind of what stands out to me on that song too. Like it takes me right back to those studio sessions.
Yeah, that was dope. That was a dope time.
And it's different too, because that was like that word of mouth excitement that I think we miss a little bit because we had to search things out a lot more, you know? You had to really.
Shit you had to walk 10 miles to get because you wanted, as opposed to dropping your lap.
Yeah.
I mean?
There's a whole different ball game, man.
Yep.
All right, so let's get to the square, because on the Square Triple R, produced by Supreme, I was interested on the production of this in particular, Rock. So
I had
let's
my
listen.
fingers on that too.
Well, let's listen, and then I want to get that because I'm very intrigued.
What do we have here? Caught up in the center of the square. Every corner locked down. All corners take position for soldiers. Every nigga turn like money way. Maybe if it was long, they gon' get warm scared. Fucking robbing, but that nigga was like that.
So, Rock, I'm intrigued. So, what did you work on the beat for that one?
It's like it starts right when the beat plays. It's like a melody. It's like a light melody. I know. Is it a melody? It's not really a melody. What it is it's the same song I've been jacking since I learned how to play the piano when I was in the 8th grade. Every time I make a beat, I jack something from that song. I ain't gonna tell y'all right now, but
That's the secret sauce.
that's the secret sauce.
Yeah. Okay. And generally speaking, I just thought the beat sounded very different in a lot of ways. It sounded brighter, I guess, per se.
Did
Did
it?
you? It did to me a little bit. It didn't to you?
Hell no, that just sounded grungy to us. It
No,
almost didn't make it.
it did. It definitely sounded different because this is the day of going from Beat Miners production, Baby Paul, E Swift, who's on the album, right? Like Supreme
Hmm.
definitely came with a different type of
Right.
sound. So as soon as you do that, it is gonna stand out in a different light. And that's it was very difficult for all the boot camp at that time period to because there was so many things that they wanted to do and they wanted to grow as artists, but it's like you have the fan base that only wants, they're used to one thing, one sound, one way, but you
Yeah,
also have
like
artists that are like, I want to spread my wings a little bit, like, but
I had to fight for that song. You know
right,
what I'm saying? Like, 'cause, everything wasn't always, we didn't always agree wholeheartedly on everything. So that was one of the songs I was like, nah, B. You know what I'm saying? That's good. The part I played was it's like a whisper, it's the high. It's way higher. I can't get my voice up that
right.
was horrible.
But somewhere Mr. Walt was ready to strangle me.
Right. But
Somewhere Mr. Walt was like, how could you let this kid happen? And be like,
word.
yo, you go
What?
talk to Rock.
Drew, you mean because Supreme was on it?
Huh?
Drew, you mean because Supreme was on it, or what?
No, because the
Made the
production was
beat.
just different. Because the production was just a little different. It was just
Right.
not the typical boot camp sound. I'm kidding, but I'm not because again, it's the time period, and I think that like at the end of the day, it's their album, right? It's what they want to do, it's how they want to do it, and it's like those steps were also necessary. You can't just stay in one lane. If you do, that's all that's all you will ever be. Not that that lane's a bad lane, but it's like like I said, artists have
Yeah, as artists, we like all kind of shit. We just get looked at. When you get known for some shit, people know you for that shit, and they start to they expect that thing from you. But on your first go
Hmm.
round, like, I think me and Ruff was like, this is our first go round. We don't want to get stuck. You know what I mean? There's a lot of shit we like. So we did therapy where we had a girl singing on it. We did, you know what I mean? We had T Swift do a beat. We had, Lord Jamar did that beat for the intro. Well, Lord Jamar and Buster. It was that was a beat that was on our demo tape that wasn't a beat, but there was a beat on our demo tape that I fell in love with that we lost. And I asked Buck to recreate it. First I was trying to ask him to find it. And you don't remember the beat? I kept trying to beatbox the beat and it wasn't working. And he was like, what? Just tell me what it's like. And I told him, and then him and Jamal made the intro. That's it. That ain't it, but that's good enough. That was good. And I started writing. You know what I mean? For that. You know what I mean? But it was just, I say all of that to say we wasn't we wasn't boxed in. Like we didn't want to box ourselves, and we were trying not to. So when Supreme made the beat for the square, I probably put my fingers on that beat just as a way to lock him on. You know what I mean? Because there was so many there was so many members who wanted to be boot camp. Everybody didn't make it through the door. You know what I mean? We had a lot of dudes that ran with us, but everybody couldn't be the great eight. And
Hmm.
it just wasn't that easy. I couldn't just it wasn't a free for all for everybody. So a lot of and it was already nepotism at its finest, but we all did quality control. It was like, let's not go too far. You ain't just bringing anybody up into it. So when things come through with a different sound, like you said, we can the box. But I'm like, hold on, nigga, I put my fingers on that beat too. You keeping that beat right there, like that. Even when we did, like I didn't love that. They for that. You know what I mean?
Well, they're saying the sound's a little muffled. So, and I know we pressing now some time. So let's keep this moving. Anybody see E Swift check in?
Well,
Sorry,
it's
did you
not
see E
letting
Swift?
me. I
You
can't
see?
see because it's not. I can only add 3 people. It says at a time.
All right, because we told him 9:20. I know he said he was gonna check in. Um, I can log out, so we can let him in. Um, I think we should do that and just keep it moving along before we nocturnal everyone on here, Rock.
Right. Got you.
All right.
Let's keep it moving.
All
All
right,
right, dude.
and Rock, see what you could do with your volume because I think people are
All
saying
right.
it sound muffled.
See if I
All
could
right,
move out and come back in right quick.
all right. I'm gonna sign off right now so you can see if you can let someone else in.
Okay.
All
Um,
right.
but it was an honor and a pleasure. Thank you. I'm gonna keep watching.
All
You
right,
All
already
peace.
right,
know
peace, Drew.
what's going on with my value. Can y'all
You
hear me
good
now?
now? Yeah, I hear you.
It was
So,
Drew. He had all
E,
that feedback going on.
E Swift, if you out there, E Swift, please hit me back up so I can let you in the room, and we will appreciate it. All right. Well, in the
So,
interim, let's play a little bit of the Wiggy
The
because we
wiggy.
want to get E Swift for Operation Lockdown, obviously. So let me play this for a second. Now, Ron, speaking of production, the thing I loved about that is the drums hit particularly hard on that compared to a lot of the album. It sounded the drums were a little more muted. So, do you remember particularly what struck you about that sonically?
um, I don't know. It was just hard. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to be the hardest thing ever. You know what I'm saying? Like I was like this shit is hard. I'm like, yeah, that's what it was just what the fuck I'm talking about. Okay, let's
Right.
go. Who did that? Was that Walk? I couldn't make the Walk make that.
Mm,
Like it was right up my alley. The bass was heavy. You know what I mean? Like I just felt aggression when he did it. So I made it perfect.
Yeah,
How
yeah. I
about
think
sound now, y'all? Can y'all hear me? Am I good?
you're
it's
good.
kind of going in and out as far as how loud it is.
All right. I'm
I
moving
hear
close.
you.
Oh, that was much better right there.
All right. Cause you had did you hear the going on in the back of his joint? Like I was hearing it for a second, but I don't hear it no more.
Nah, I can hear you great now.
All right, we
Hmm.
good. All right,
Yeah, I'm just watching for E Swift too. But
all right.
now we get to the grade 8. Without further ado, let's get a little grade 8 for everyone.
Well, that's Fab Five.
Fab
Not
Five. Fab Five. I'm thinking of the overall. My bad, my bad, my bad. I said the wrong thing. I got too many things. My bad. Yeah. Fuckers, yeah. God damn. Smooth in the spot. What was up with the Dapper Dan disc? I always wondered about that.
it wasn't. Well, it was like that, but then wasn't a fixture anymore. Like it wasn't even it wasn't a personal diss to Dapper Dan. It was just something that you know. I guess I don't know. Maybe if Flame would come on in here, then we could answer that question. But from my own analyzation, it wasn't really a diss. It's just like we ain't on that. We on this. You know what I mean? It just I feel like it just rhymed. It wasn't like fuck Pepsi soda. you know, your skets be toe up. You know what I'm saying? It's like it rhyme, not it ain't that, it's this. You know what I'm saying? Type of thing.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Well, I don't know. I know we got to be wrapping up soon, but I did want to play a little bit of Operation Lockdown because
Yeah, let it.
for
My
obvious
fave.
reasons.
That's your favorite, Bird?
That's my favorite off the album, yeah.
So Burn, before we play it, why is that your favorite?
I don't know, it just do something to me. Make me want to transform, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why it's my favorite. It's embedded.
All right. Well, let's play a couple seconds of it for everybody.
Demonstrate tactics, you need practice. First of all, you monkey gas rhyme like you're backwards. I should smash this. Let me try to get you going. Limits, timid, but they can never get me shown.
None of your niggas just makes that slither. In your picture.
All right. Well, I know we got to be wrapping it up per orders, but last words and thoughts on Operation Lockdown.
That was the one right there. Like we didn't at first we didn't like the beat, but well I didn't. At first I was like it wasn't enough. You know, I would have wanted to see them. You know what I'm saying? But it's as the mix was coming along, like I think E Swift showed up late to the studio. I think we made him do push ups or some shit like that. I'm not sure. I might have made that up in my I'm gonna have to ask him later. But I just heard these drums and like the sound of a pager and shit, and I was like, this ain't enough right here or whatever. But just as I wrote my verses and I went in, and as the mix was going down, the shit just started sounding chunkier and chunkier. So that, but I ended up liking it, but I didn't think that it was going. I didn't think that it should be the single. But when everybody started hearing it, like it wasn't that hard for them. It was like, yo, this shit is crazy. I was like, what? They were like, no, this shit crazy. Like, all right. I mean, it's like, you don't like this? I'm like, I like it. I just didn't know it was depth.
All right. So Burn, as you look back, what's the legacy of Nocturnal for you, Burn?
I mean, that was the first one, and I think he did really great for it being the first one. So I applaud that to the top, because like I said, he ain't have no rhymes. He ain't know where he was going with it. He was just figuring it out, and it worked. So
Operation Lockdown, first song that taught me that you don't always know, because I be thinking I know. Like I'm so technical with it. I think I know. I swear I know when I got a winner before I even write the rhymes to it. But with Lockdown, I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? It taught me that you cannot know sometimes. Like
right.
you don't know everything, motherfucker. That's what that's for.
Well, there it is. All right, y'all. Well, Rock and Burn, appreciate you guys coming through as always. It's a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for participating in our shenanigans, sorry.
It's always a pleasure, Rock. We'll have more on Unique Access coming through. Me and Rock did legendary interviews. 2 parts are already up, and part 3 will be going up soon. But we appreciate everybody's support, and it's great hosting this, man. It's an honor. So thank you.
All right,
peace,
y'all.
everybody.
Stay up.
All right, peace.